Welcome back to Live With, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Visit speciesnutrition.com. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today's guest, we pulled him out of a hole in Canada somewhere up in the big north. The guy I'm talking about, Antoine Vaillant. Welcome.
Hey, what's up, guys?
You're back.
I'm back.
You disappeared.
Yeah, for a little while, right?
You were, when you were 18 years old, back in 2006, I remember seeing pictures of you, and I think you sent me some pictures when I was with MD, and I said, this guy's going to be the next Mr. Olympia. I can't believe what this guy looks like at 18 years of age. And you were on the upswing. You had a great 6-year run. You earned your pro card in Canada. You had a contract with the animal packs over there, Universal Nutrition. Tell us a little, before we go into what happened, tell us a little bit about those days when you first got started. How did you get into bodybuilding?
I got into bodybuilding. I was actually 15 years old the first time I went to the gym. And it's funny because I stepped in the gym and I told the guy, I said, I want to compete, even before I started training in the gym. Because I would go on a website that was famous back in the day, and I would, I learned that to become jacked like I wanted to be, I had to do more than push-ups and curls at home. So I asked my mom to give me a membership, and I told the guy, I want to compete. And a year later, I competed my first show at 16, and I won the little junior class in the local show there, and that was just the beginning of it. And I just liked it. Since I was young, I just always wanted to improve myself, and if you really want to go deep into it, I always wonder why that I started training is that if you want to, let's go deep here. My parents got divorced at 9 years old. I was 9 years old. And then I was afraid of being abandoned, the fear of abandonment. And the only thing I could control to make myself feel worthy was I'm going to improve my training. I started doing push-ups very young age, and I wanted to be strong, and then that led me to bodybuilding somehow. It's like, if you want to be like Fruit, Fruit, the guy who was talking about the childhood stuff. Yeah, it's probably because something like that emerged, like all my will to train and improve myself. But sometimes bad things turn out into good things.
Well, Antoine, you're not the only one. Most bodybuilders out there have had something traumatic, emotionally happen to them, that they wanted to put on this muscle to feel empowered. And you're no one. You're not anything special in the sense that you're not an anomaly. You're probably more of the commonality that all bodybuilders share. Now, you were very successful. Obviously, you have the structure. Genetically, you have the talent. You're always lean. I don't think I've ever seen you out of shape, to be honest with you.
Well, and maybe you didn't look good enough.
yeah, I don't know, but you usually always bring a good physique to the table. You're very marketable, obviously. Animal decided to get behind you very early on in your career. In your early 20s. You got your pro card, but you were even successful before getting your pro card. You were very popular on the junior scene in Canada. When you started competing and doing very well, what did that do to your ego? It had to blow it through the roof, because not many young guys were that successful back in that day.
Well, I didn't think I was the shit more than somebody else, but the thing that because it came kind of not easily, but almost to me, I took it for granted a little bit. So I had this contract, I had this money a little bit, and I was like, oh, it's nothing, It's it happens. I didn't think it was anything special that I had. And but now I know, looking back, wow, I should have been more grateful in that and actually have done something with it more. But it's the what ifs and should haves, I can't really focus on that right now. But my ego wasn't through the roof. It probably was more than I would like to admit. But the one thing that I wasn't grateful enough. I took it for granted.
No, because I remember, I don't know if it was interaction with me or through someone else, but you were hard to do business with. You were a tough business guy, because at some point you must have realized, hey, everyone wants a piece of me. I might as well not give it away. Let me sell it, so to speak.
I think, yeah. So I wasn't afraid to like put some numbers, I guess, if you that's what you want to say, because I'm like, you know, back then the contracts were bigger
Yeah,
too.
of course.
Now because of the social media, everybody has followings, so it's not the same anymore. But back then, it's like I knew I had some leverage. I would ask people like that I knew like, oh, what am I worth? And I wouldn't be shy. Sometimes people are shy to tell them like, oh, I'm worth this. They always lowball themselves. They shouldn't do that. But yeah.
Now, you finally, pulled it off. You got the pro status. You won the Mr. Canada in 2012. You won the overall. And, basically, myself as well as probably a lot of other people thought you were on the fast track now to the pros and obviously to the elite level of the pros. So I was just waiting to see what your next show is going to be. You show up in 2013 at the Toronto Pro Show and you come in last place. Take us through what happened from when you won your pro card to that first pro event.
Well, what happened is that before that I won my pro card, I was always in relationships, and off season I would party a little bit, but then when it was time to prep, I would be able to be like strict and do the things I need to do and then perform. But just before I won my pro card, I went through this bad breakup. But for those 3 weeks before the Canada, I didn't miss a meal, didn't miss anything. I just did it and I won. And then after that, I was like, you know what? I'm single now. I just won. I deserve some like how do you say that? I deserve some like, how can I say that? It's just like a reward. I deserve some reward. So I was like, I deserve this, Like, I was like entitled to some like victory and reward, and I started partying a lot. And then because I was single and I moved to my own place after that by myself, I was out of like, my structure was gone, and then I started hanging out with the wrong people, and then it was just the start of like really bad habits.
All right, tell us exactly what happened, because obviously we know you got involved in drugs. I had always heard, people always tell me everything because, and I don't really get involved in people's personal life, but I heard you like to go out and party. I didn't know it had consumed your life to the point, like you said, where it started becoming damaging. But at what point did it become damaging, and what kind of partying were you doing? Like, give us an example.
Well, I say party, but sometimes there was no party except in my head, But what happened is that before I used certain types of drugs that I could like stop them when it was time to do a show or whatever. And I just thought like, okay, that's my life, I'm a little bit of extreme guy. I party, but then when it's time to do business, I do business. But then after that, when I became single and I quit the job at the gym, I just had money from Universal and MD. It's like, oh, now I have all this free time, all this money. I'm single. I feel great. It's like I could get all the women I wanted. I could do whatever I wanted when I wanted. I was like, the normal life was, I was like, there's normal life here. I was over there, just like rock star level.
Rock star. That's what I was gonna say. Exactly.
Yeah, and then I tried some harder stuff, and then I couldn't, because I was doing it every day. I couldn't stop. I just got addicted to it. I just couldn't stop, and every time I felt bored. Every time I felt alone, every time I felt stressed, anxiety, my brain made the connection that, oh, this shit makes you feel good right away. So that's how you become addicted. That's how dogs sit down when you give them treats. They will sit and they will wait for the treat. Because their brain is conditioned like that. So my brain was conditioned like that, and then I just couldn't stop. And then after a while, it's like, even if you're successful, if you just keep going there, then I would go on tour with Universal. It was like... I was always like, I was party and then I would stop, go tour Universal. Then I would like sleep for 2-3 days, and they were like, what the hell's going on? And then I would come back, and then I would be good for a week, and then I would do it again. Or I would train 3 weeks. Oh, I'm good now. I deserve 1 weekend. But then 1 weekend would do it 2 a month.
Right. Did you find out? Are you addicted? I mean, you know how like some people are alcoholics. Are you a drug addict? By nature.
Me, it was more like party drugs that people use to like stay up for a bunch of days and have sex with girls and stuff like that.
No, but I'm saying, would you consider yourself a drug addict? I mean, do you have that kind of genetic predisposition?
Alcohol was, if I was there, I would just chug it sometimes, but I was more of a drug addict.
Yeah. So, how'd you break the cycle? Well, let's before you tell us that, how bad did it get? Is from a perspective of ruining your life, because you told me you hit rock bottom. What does that mean?
Well, the before going to my last rehab, it was 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning, December 3rd, 2016. I was, my face, there's a scar here, my face full of blood, head pummeled by my friend who was in a drug-induced psychosis. I was in the street, nowhere to go. I had $17, no battery in my phone, pocket full of drug. That's all I had.
Wow.
I had nowhere to go. I was in the street. This is when I realized, actually, that's how people get homeless. They
Right.
just keep doing what I'm doing right now. And it wasn't the first time. It was the second time it happened. So I was like, this is it. It's like either I'm a homeless person on drugs that's gonna be the crazy guy in the street talking to himself, or I get my shit together.
Right.
You know, and that was after 3 rehabs already.
Wow.
Like I didn't understand already. You know, like I relapsed a bunch of times. It wasn't like a quick process.
So
But
you lost your contracts then too at that point.
Oh yeah, but I lost my contract going to my second rehab.
Really? Now,
Yeah,
what was their excuse? Did they just say, "Oh, we don't want to renew you," or what?
They just said like until you figure your shit out, pretty much. You know, I wasn't reliable.
Right.
You know, like I was supposed to do videos. I wasn't doing videos anymore.
Gotcha.
When I was partying, I wasn't even training anymore because
Wow.
the last thing I wanted to do is sleep and train and eat.
Right. Right. So you weren't even working out.
The opposite of what I'm supposed to do. The opposite of what I really want to do from the bottom of my heart. I want to train, eat, sleep, improve myself, inspire people. I was doing the opposite. I was manipulating people. I was betraying myself, my loved ones, running away from my family. It's like it took everything from me.
Did you get to the point that you had stolen money or sold things off yet? Had you gotten that bad?
I didn't steal from my mom, but I thought about it. I mean, if there would have been money on the counter, I would. My mom didn't want to borrow money anymore. I was telling people, "Oh, I need money to go do this," you know, and then I would just take the money and buy drugs.
Wow. That's pretty bad. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
terrible.
that's no shit. You know, but that was me before. You know, that's what happens if you keep making the wrong choices. You're not following your heart. You're acting on like reaction and instinct. It doesn't go if I just listen to what my reactions are, even now, if I just don't wait and like think about what I'm gonna do, what would God want me to do? What does my heart tell me to do? If I don't follow that, it brings me right back to the other thing. I still have an addict mind. It's just right now, every day I'm doing things to control it.
Right. What was like the most amount of days in a row that you had stayed up from all the stimulants you were doing?
7 days and a half.
Wow. That's crazy. Were you like hallucinating?
Yeah. All the bad stuff. You know,
Tell us what you were experiencing during that time.
I knew that, you know, what I was seeing was like not real, but I never went into like full like I lost it. I would always be able to control what I was doing, but the thing is that pushed me to go like further away. I guess I'm very lucky because my brain is like the only thing that remaining from that is a little bit of anxiety, but I could have damaged my brain and bad.
Sure.
Like like you can't stay up for, and my body, like I even did blood tests afterwards in the one of the rehabs and everything was fine. I just can't believe it. I'm very lucky.
Did you ever OD at all during that time?
No.
So you must have built up a crazy tolerance, I guess, for the drugs you were using, huh?
Yeah, so that's what I thought. That's why I kept going. That's why I would do it so hard, and then before I really wanted to stop, I would go so hard, and then I would stop 2-3 weeks, gain 10 pounds of muscle, and be like, oh, I'm good for another weekend. So I kept doing yo-yo for like years.
Right. Now, when you finally hit rock bottom that day, you were in the street with no money in your pocket and no battery in your phone and just drugs in your pocket. Where did you go from there? You said, all right, I had enough. That's it. I hit rock bottom. Where'd you go?
I was planning to go to rehab the next Monday, but if I were to be honest with myself, if Monday I would have like found more money and I would have probably kept going, because that's what I did for that was 2 months. That was in the span of 2 months, I was living with my friends. Everything was going well, and then 2 months later, I was in the street like that.
Wow.
And what was the question again? I lost track of time.
What did you do when you finally said, I had enough?
Oh, what did I do? Is because I was bleeding like that and my head was pummeled because my friend beat me up because he thought I stole from him.
Right.
I left and I'm like, I can't party anymore. Like, who wants to party with a guy that's like bleeding like that? So I called somebody and I got a ride to my mom's place and I went to the hospital get a head scan.
Wow. And
then I was like, this is it. But you know what? Because of that event, I got beat up like that. I was beat up not only emotionally and spiritually and mentally. I was beat up physically too. Now it's like there was no I was beat up.
Right.
So because of that beat up, I had no choice to stop. It was like a blessing.
Now, did you go to rehab or did you detox yourself?
Oh, I went to rehab.
Now, what do they do in rehab? When you go to rehab, explain to people out there what happens in that process.
It's a 24 hours, 7 days a week place where you go, and you're with other recovering addicts. There's counselors, and it's pretty hard because you go from free for all to like very strict.
Right.
And it's like they try to make your life manageable again and to like help you out. Yeah.
What's the first 3 days like when you're physically withdrawing?
The first 5 days I sleep.
Really?
Yeah. I sleep and I eat. That's it. Yeah, and then on the 5th day when I wake up, I go to the gym right away.
Really? Oh, so you were really disciplined once you got back in there, huh?
Yeah, it's as soon as I wasn't doing that, my life just goes back to what I am supposed to do. I would go to the last rehab I went. Actually, I had a pretty nice gym, dumbbells up to 100 pounds, and if you put all the weight on the bar, it went up to 500 something pounds.
Oh wow!
So I was able to do deadlifts.
All right, but now I'm sure in rehab the counselors there must tell you, look, yeah, you're going back, you're eating right now, you're sleeping, you're training again, but what's to stop you from going back into that same exact pattern of behavior that you did before? There must be something you were doing that was wrong. How do you correct your thinking process now?
What really helps me now is that I'm honest with myself that if I just touch it, like, it's way harder to stop than to not start. And if I just also, to keep me sober, I need to do things outside. If you just do a rehab and then you stop, it's like you do a contest prep, you get into shape, and then you go back to eating shitty, you get fat again, right?
Yeah,
so
of course.
If I do rehab, and now I'm doing every day, I do work for my recovery. Like there's books I need to read, I do a meditation, and I should be doing more of like all those things, like nothing is perfect. But the main thing that I do is that I do a lot of introspection. So all my actions, all my thoughts, I analyze them, and I don't act on them. I watch them. Let's say if there's a guy that, like he cuts you off and you want to get out of the car and beat him up, for example. Right. But instead of like acting on those thoughts, you watch the thought go by like a little cloud, and then it just, okay, that's just a thought. Because if you just keep it in your head, nothing's bad's going to happen. So you just let it go, and then you go back into the present moment. You go back into the now. So you focus on what's around you, what you can touch, what you can see, and things like that. So it's a lot of work like that. And there's meetings also. I do 12 steps recovery meetings, and those, they help. As soon as I got out, I was doing it every day. Now I'm doing more like once or twice a week. And during prep, that's the only thing that's a little bit different, is that I'm so busy with prep. I need to be careful because they teach you that if you put something else over your recovery, you're going to lose it. So my priority needs to always be staying clean and sober. And if I do that, everything else is going to fall into place.
Yeah, I mean, that is important, because sometimes you think, well, I got this thing licked, I got it beat, I don't need the meetings anymore, and the next thing you know, you're using again. So I guess that's always a fear in the back of your head that, hey, I have to keep on top of my recovery because I've already relapsed many, many times before, and it can happen again at the drop of a dime. It happens to addicts all the time. They're clean for 5 years, they decide they're going to go have a drink at the bar, and the next thing they know, they're in the street again. So I guess that's always in the back of your mind, huh?
Yeah, I'm always looking at my motives also. It's like, why would I want to do that? What's my motive behind that? Is it just to make myself feel better? I was like, what is it? Because there's a lot of like, let me find an example. There was this product from a company. It's like, oh, it's a mood enhancing product. It's like, oh, I want to take it. But like, if I want to see what's my motive before taking that.
Right.
Oh, because I want to feel better. Like I want to feel good. I want to have a little feeling. So I need to always check myself.
Right. So you have to stay away from products like that, obviously.
I have to stay away from a lot of stuff. But I need to really look at my motives behind everything I do.
Mm-hmm. Now you have a new relationship too. Does that help you too to have a woman there who's constantly giving you good feedback about yourself?
Yeah, no, for real, because it brings structure into my life, and also after this last rehab, because after my third rehab, they said, oh, don't meet up with any girls or don't have sex with any girls if you don't love them. Okay, then I did the no sex thing for a while, and then after that I said screw that. Then I did a little bit, and I went back with my ex, and then I relapsed after that. I went back into
really?
Yeah, old patterns, old stuff.
Right, sure.
But now what happened after this rehab, I went out and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna have sex with everybody that I want. But then I learned that doing that doesn't bring me happiness either. Right. Right. I actually went to see a sex shrink, and I was like, why am I, having sex with all those people? And then I learned more about that, and then I'm like, you know what? That's not the way to live either. It's just like I'm replacing drugs with something else.
Right.
And now I decided to not be promiscuous. Is that the word? Yeah.
Yes.
And then I eventually started dating this girlfriend, and now it's like I know that this is the way for me that works. I'm happy, and we love each other. We're there for each other. And then sometimes, like all relationship, it's not the easiest. But you know what? Because of all the work I did in the rehabs, I can deal with anything now.
Yeah.
If I can stay off the drugs, that's the hardest thing. You know what's funny also? Contest prep used to be very hard. Now it's easy, because suffering. When people say, "Oh, I'm suffering dieting," that's not real suffering.
That's right.
That's not real suffering. I know what suffering is now. So now doing contest prep is like, wow, that's pretty easy. If I'm actually hungry, I can just analyze the cravings and the things I'm feeling the same way I'm dealing with my addiction.
Now, when you're contest dieting and getting ready for a show, obviously it can be stressful and it can create anxiety because it's tough. Let's face it. I mean, you're saying it's easier than it was, but it's still tough. You're very disciplined. You're not eating when you want. You're taking away pleasure from yourself. That's usually when addicts relapse, because they become weak and they usually use drugs to combat that anxiety. Have you felt, now you have the Toronto Pro Show coming up in several weeks now. Do you feel that you have to be more on top of your game and really, be cognizant of what's going on since you've gotten into the heart of your contest prep now?
Yeah, you know what's funny? I was actually, because I also have my friend Aaron McLean, and he's also sober. Like my girlfriend's also sober too, so like I'm surrounding myself with people that goes in the same direction as me, so it's helping me. But my friend Aaron is like my sponsor, they call it, but he's also one of my best friends now. And a sponsor in the program is like somebody who's like has like years of recovery and helps you out, and because I was telling him that on my low carb days, I actually have more bad thoughts. I'm actually more anxious, and I was wondering why. Then if I have a cheat meal and I have a high carb day, it's like, oh, I'm actually feeling a lot better now. So it's like as soon as my body gets uncomfortable, my brain still remembers the way to make me feel good right away.
Sure, of course.
Yeah,
I mean, that's very common.
Yeah, so now I'm just observing that, and I just know it's there. I just got to be careful. And a trick that I have is that as soon as usually it's when I'm driving for some reason. I'm driving on a low carb day, long drives. My mind goes everywhere. But if I just focus on my breathing, for 20 minutes, just every breathing, it's a conscious breath, makes me feel better. So it's like if you give energy to those thoughts, they're gonna become more powerful. But if you just go back on something else, you're breathing, you're gonna feel better. It sounds cheesy. And I knew in the past, oh yeah, it makes me feel better, but now I know it because I'm applying it.
Right, yeah, obviously. I think a lot of people, because I have friends that are recovering addicts too, and they are getting into contest prep, and I get worried about them because I know that contest prep is very stressful, and very stressful, situations usually are the trigger for drug abuse, or going back to using drugs again. And so, give us a little, you've been giving us already a little, some of the tools that you've been using to combat that, but if you had to give advice to a young guy out there who might be going through something similar to what you're going through, maybe they haven't reached the level that you're at in your recovery where you're so aware of what's going on, what advice could you give to them?
Well, like I said, it's what I do is I really analyze everything that I'm gonna do. But the thing is if you have the obsession, that's kind of hard to like not use if you have that. And I lost the obsession. I remember exactly the time I lost it. But the thing is that it's a little bit weird for some people, but the use of a higher power. It's like people say God, some people say the universe, some people say, I don't know, their grandmother, whatever. But if you actually pray every day to something, at first I had nothing. I was just praying like in the air, But
Right.
if you ask, for example, your own God of your own understanding to relieve you from the obsession, and you just pray for that. Or if you have a really bad thoughts, like you just pray. Like at some point, that's what I do. It's like there's nothing else, but my last resort is to pray for the thoughts to be removed from my head. And then if I also do an effort to breathe and focus on my breathing and be in the now, it goes away. But you need to, if you're starting out in recovery, you need to make your recovery your priority. Like if you keep relapsing, the only thing that could keep me from relapsing and messing up is going to rehab.
Right.
People say, oh, I don't want to go to rehab. It's 3 months. It's too long, whatever. But we just had a friend. He said, oh, I don't want to go to rehab. I can't have my laptop and work. And now he's dead. He's dead now.
Oh,
Like, what's
God,
the use of
terrible.
his laptop now if he's dead?
Sure.
Understand? So your life is very important. And you have like one life that we know of on this earth right now. So you got to do the rehab. You got to do the work. Like every day in the past, I was using drugs. So I need to every day make sure that I stay clean. So, I mean, if you're starting out you need, and you can't do it, you need to reach out for help. I couldn't do it by myself. It was with my ego at first, I thought, yeah, I don't have a problem. That's the first thing, like denial. And then after that, you admit you have a problem. And then after that, you need to reach out for help.
Yeah,
That's
good, very wise words, because I think a lot of people try to do it on their own. They think that, oh, I can handle this. And obviously, if you could handle it, you wouldn't have had the problem to begin with, is what you're saying. How do you, Antoine, I guess, mesh the fact that you're using performance-enhancing substances in bodybuilding? I'm sure the rehab people would probably say that that's not good, because one drug can lead to another drug use, even though they don't really do the same thing. How do you, in your mind, separate those?
Well, if you really like listen to your heart, you know what's wrong and what's right. And for that subject, like, because I'm not a doctor or anything like that, and I'm not Dave Palumbo, I'm not really comfortable talking about it because I don't know as much as you guys. But I do think that you should prioritize staying clean than getting in shape, because if you can't use stuff without relapsing, don't use stuff.
Right.
If you feel there's a connection, just don't do it.
Right. Are there certain anabolics that you would not use because you think maybe they get you a little too, they raise your aggression levels, or maybe raise your manic levels up too high, or anxiety?
I don't know enough about that, but one thing I know for sure is that if you have trouble being impulsive, you shouldn't like do those things that makes you more impulsive.
Yeah, like trenbolone tends to increase anxiety in a lot of people. That's something that probably wouldn't be the best for a recovering addict, I would think. Probably
not if you have anxiety problems. I wouldn't. Yeah, but that's just like assumptions. I don't like to make assumptions like that. If it's not scientifically proven, I can't really talk about it.
John Romano calls Trenbolone the great relationship ender because people get into fights while they're on Trenbolone. They're always arguing with their girlfriend, or it just raises, like I said, raises the androgen levels so high in your body that you start getting a little nuts in your brain.
Yeah, well, those people shouldn't use it then.
Yeah,
if they get
probably not. Probably not. All right, let's talk about this prep. You were originally getting ready for the Vancouver Pro. Now you said because you're ahead of schedule, you're thinking about doing the Toronto Pro that's coming up a little earlier than that.
Yeah, I didn't announce it yet, but me and my diet coach Dorian, we decided because I was having good momentum. He said, okay, let's do it. Let's do Toronto Pro now. So I'm doing Toronto Pro. It's breaking news here on RxMuscle. It's announced.
There you go. Now, Dorian Hamilton is your coach, not Dorian Yates. So just as
Dorian Hamilton, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know John Meadows is doing your training in the gym, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got a good team behind you, obviously. You're going to be doing this Toronto Pro. I've seen some pictures. We put some pictures up from your Instagram. You look great. What are you weighing right now?
I was 257 empty stomach this morning, but that was after 3 days of low carb.
What did you weigh when you turned pro back in 2012?
I was 255 on stage.
Okay, so you're pretty much back to where you were. Is that what?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm even leaner or something. I don't know, because I look at pictures of me during the prep. I'm like, I think I'm better now. People say I'm back, but I think I'm more than that.
Now you have the shaved head now. Is the new look because you?
No, it's because I got bald.
Oh, you did. Okay, I was going to ask you that because I
think during those 5 years, I think there was a lot of stress on my body and maybe genetics, but at least I have a nice egg head,
You do. That's why I won't shave my head. I would have a terrible.
Some people have their heads like this, all the time, but me,
No, because you had a great head of hair when you were younger.
Yeah, for a longest time, I was kind of like, oh no, I'm losing my hair. Then I kept wearing hats, and then now I'm like, you know what? There's more important things than hair in life, and I'm alive, and I'm healthy, and So I was like, screw that.
Well, you're a good-looking guy too, so you could get away with that. Now, are you going to shave the beard for the show?
I don't know. It's like because it's not there anymore. I'm like maybe but maybe just a mustache like this.
You always have style, so I'm sure it'll work out for you without a problem.
I'll do my style with my posing instead.
Now, what would be the ultimate goal to qualify for the Olympia this year?
Yeah, I want to win a pro show.
Okay.
It's pretty high goal, but I'm working very hard. And what do you think is missing nowadays on stage, Dave?
Well, I think that what you have is what other people don't have. You have the size, the symmetry, and the conditioning. Very few people have all three. They usually have two of the three. And I think you got all three. So I think that gives you a distinct advantage. If you can hold it all together till Toronto, I think you're going to be very dangerous on that stage.
So with Dorian Hamilton's diet, it's like so far I'm giving my 100%. So even if I lose, you know what? This year I give my 100%. So that's out of my control. The judges will be up to them, and they're qualified to decide who has the best physique. So it's going to be very interesting. But personally, for me, I'm really focusing on conditioning. I want cross striations in my quads. I want striations in my tricep.
Right.
And I know I'm not going to be the thickest guy, on my chest area, maybe in my back. But if I can be crisp and hard with cross striations, and my legs are big, of course, I mean, I'm pretty sure I can beat some guys who would think who never thought I would beat them before, So I'm looking forward to being on stage, and I'm actually practicing my posing every day because that's one weakness I had on stage. I would hate posing there. It was so hard to keep the midsection in and to hit the poses and hold them for a couple of rounds. But now I'm practicing every day, the stomach and everything, and I think my waist is going to be one of the smallest on stage for a tall guy. So we'll see.
Well, how tall actually are you?
6 foot.
Yeah, there's a lot of. It seems like there's a lot of big guys coming into the sport now, taller guys than there were in the past, which I think is good because you guys usually have better symmetry. It's funny because now that you're not doing drugs all day, you have a lot more time to practice your posing. That's perfect, right?
Yeah. If I don't have time for what all day?
I said now that you're not doing drugs all day, recreational drugs, you have a lot more time to practice your posing.
I can life. Yeah. Yeah. Before that, forget it. I didn't want to be home. I was, but now I can. I have all my head and my focus is on bodybuilding and building a nice life.
Now,
for me and loved ones.
when you got back into everything and into training again after that last rehab, obviously you had no contracts left. You had no money coming in. How did you rebound in that respect? In other words, how do you pay your bills? What are you doing now to support yourself?
Well, there was after the third rehab. Actually, I went to like a shelter. I live in a shelter for a month.
Wow.
I live, Salvation Army shelter for a month. Then I went to a recovery home, and then I went out to Doran's home. Then I relapsed, and then I came out, and my uncle helped me out with a place to stay. And I would pay minimum money at first, and for bodybuilding food for the first couple months, I was going to the food bank.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I was on welfare. I got a food bank, and then I was eating like crappy food. And then eventually people were giving protein powders, and I even called Universal. They sent me a couple, Eric, natural guy, Eric Schwartz from Universal helped me out a little bit.
That's nice.
And so gradually I went back, and then I went back to Toronto. I was in Montreal, now I'm in Toronto. I moved in with my girlfriend. She's very supportive. And she, what's funny? Her cousin is actually Jojo Ntiforo.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, oh, my cousin's IBB Pro. I'm like, nah. And then I was like, oh shit, it's JoJo. So imagine the babies would have good genetics, right?
Yeah, exactly. Tell me about it.
So I moved back over here, and now actually Right Aware, I signed back with them, and Iron Bowl Strength, I signed back with them. They've been there since the beginning. Boss Meals is sponsoring me with food.
Oh, great.
Plus Supplements is helping me out with the plane and the tickets for Vancouver, and supplements a little bit. And my friends are helping me out, and I just surrounded myself with people who support me, surrounding myself with winners, and it's like they helping me like go up like that. So I started from pretty much scratch, and now I'm building everything back up slowly. There's like no big contract yet, but you know what? Right now I'm having all that I need. I'm having food. I can train at the gym Fortis here in Toronto. Sean Kelly is a great guy, hooking me up with a membership, and I get a lot of support, and it's pretty cool. And my girlfriend's are understanding too, so that's pretty nice. She's actually a really good DJ here. She's a sober DJ. Can you believe that?
Yeah, that's pretty ironic. You better stay out of the club though. That's all I have. That's all I know.
Yeah. But she's very supportive, and
Don't let him go to work with you.
No. Sometimes I just pick her up, and if you go sober, it's not the same thing. I just get out of there.
Yeah.
But she does it for the art of playing music, and she's actually a very good artist. So yeah.
You want to bring her into the frame? Let's see her. Everyone's going to ask me what your girlput looks like.
Tracy.
I didn't do my hair today.
It's all right. Just come say hello to us.
Hey.
Hey,
I put the hat on, so.
You look like Slash from.
A little bit. I don't play the guitar as well though.
No, well that's all right.
Right?
I can play the piano a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. We'll keep this guy on the up and up. Everyone loves a great comeback story, and Antoine, this sounds like the comeback of comebacks. I'm so happy for you that you're back in the loop again, and you're feeling good, and that you're on the clean path. And I know all the bodybuilders and the fans out there want to see you succeed, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you up on that stage in Toronto.
Yeah, can I give a thanks to the sponsors real quick?
Of course, go ahead.
So Iron Bowl Strength, my equipment and training gear, sponsor Right Aware for clothing, Boss Meals, and those three you can use the code Antoine10 if you want to purchase. Boss Supplements is helping me out, bosssupplements.com, fitlog.ca if you're a trainer, if you want to take care of your clients, it's all on there. Don Hamilton, my diet coach, John Meadows, my training coach, Mom, Tracy, my sponsors, and all my followers and supporters, and Dave Palumbo for the interview.
You contacted me. Why did you decide you wanted to come on our show here and talk to us about what happened?
Because I think you did a great job with interviewing people lately, and you get your channel grew a lot, and because I remember when you first started out, I was like, oh, he's doing his own thing, whatever. Right. But now it's pretty good, and actually I don't watch a lot of stuff on YouTube. I watch Joe Rogan, I watch RxMuscle, and I watch Jujimufu, my friend's channel. You know Jujimufu, right?
Yeah.
He's a crazy long guy, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the stuff I watch, and I was like, it made sense for me to go with what I watch and what I know, and So I know you were going to do a great job and ask some good questions.
Well, you answered a lot of great questions, and hopefully a lot of people out there who might be in your situation, who might have been in your situation, will be able to relate, and maybe what some of the words that you've said will resonate with them, and it will help them to get through tough times in their lives. And that's what this is really about.
The main thing that if somebody's struggling is that put your ego aside and ask for help. And my Instagram is AntoineV87. So if you just go there and you can actually send me direct messages, and I try to answer to all of them. I used to not do that, but now I try to answer to all of them, except the ones that are just a fire emoji or some weird stuff. I don't answer them, but I answer to all of them. Especially, it makes me really happy to help people out with recovery, because if there's no recovery, there's no training, there's nothing.
Yeah, you're
so
right.
So just send me a direct message or whatever, or maybe ask bug Dave to ask me for my email or something like that if you can't find my Instagram. But yeah, so don't hesitate, guys. Just I'm here to help, and I'm here to inspire, motivate. That's why I do this also.
What nationality are you from? Because you obviously French, but
I'm French Canadian, Montreal.
That's it. Where's your ancestors from, though?
I think that I'm probably like the Gauls, the barbarians in France.
Probably.
Yeah, probably because of my nose.
Where'd the blue eyes come from, though?
Huh?
Where'd the blue eyes come from? Who gave you
green
those?
Eyes?
You got blue eyes. Where'd they come from?
I don't know. Where'd they come from? My mama. My
I
mommy.
know. Yeah, is there like British? What's in you? There's got to be something in you.
I don't know. I should do the old ancestry bullshit test.
You should. I think you got to find out what's exactly in you. You're right. You might be from like some barbarian tribe. In the Vikings up in Scandinavia.
Yeah,
or something
maybe
like that.
that'd be kind of cool. I'm wearing like Thor's hammer here though.
There you go.
Yeah.
Maybe you could get. Hey, with your looks, would you ever consider getting into the movies?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that lately. Like that would be kind of some cool thing to do on the side, and The Rock is really inspiring with all that. What he achieved. It was like, wow, it's like one man can do all that. Then it makes you wonder what I could do.
I can definitely see you in Game of Thrones or something like that. A series like that, you'd be great in there.
Getting my ass kicked by the mountain itself.
There you go.
Yeah, but if you wanna hook me up with agents, Dave, I trust you with that stuff.
All right, I'll reach out to some of my people.
Okay, cool.
Would you ever do WWE? Anything like that? Wrestling?
I was actually going to do Tough Enough when they came back, but I relapsed.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Well,
I was going to do like 8 weeks, but you know what? I wouldn't be a wrestler. It's great, it's awesome, but it's a lot of traveling. It's a lot of like painkillers around over there.
Oh, that's true. That's probably wouldn't be too good for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I wouldn't be home, and I would hurt myself, And I think there's other ways I can like travel and go on TV and stuff, like maybe movies or something.
We got to get you in the movies.
I'm 30 years old, so I have 10 years. I have 10 years before I can, to like do really bodybuilding, and then I could like branch to something else. We'll see.
You got your whole life ahead of you, and once again, best of luck on that Toronto stage. Hopefully, if you win that thing, we're gonna get you back on the show. Let's take you out. Hit us a few shots for us, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay,
All right,
and that's going to take us to the end of another episode of Live With, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Visit speciesnutrition.com. I'm Dave Palumbo, and we'll see you next time.